I couldn't breathe. My chest felt like it was caving in as I jammed my key into the apartment door, hands shaking so bad I almost dropped it. It was supposed to be a nothing day, just a quick lunch break, a couple errands, maybe a burger if I had time. But now my pulse was hammering, my palms slick with sweat, and all I could see was her face burned into my brain. I'd been out picking up some stuff, dry cleaning, a few groceries, when I got this random urge to swing by Hank's Diner on Maple Street. It was our spot, mine and Sarah's, back when things were good. We hadn't gone together in months. She was always tied up with something, work, friends, whatever excuse she could pull out of thin air. I thought maybe sitting there alone, sipping a coffee, might drag up some of those old feelings, remind me of when we were solid. Big mistake. I didn't even step inside. I was still in the parking lot, fumbling with my keys, when I glanced through the diner's huge front window and saw her. Sarah, my wife. She was tucked into a booth, her blonde hair catching the light, laughing so hard her shoulders shook. And she wasn't alone. Some guy, tall, broad-shouldered, with a smug little smirk, was sitting across from her, leaning in like they were sharing the world's best secret. My stomach twisted into a knot. She'd told me that morning she was swamped at the office, buried in deadlines. "Don't wait up, Jake," she'd said, barely looking at me as she grabbed her bag and bolted out the door. But there she was, not hunched over spreadsheets, but cozying up to this stranger, her hand brushing his like it was nothing. I froze right there in the lot, my breath fogging up in the cold February air. Everything slowed down, cars rolling by, people chatting on the sidewalk. It all blurred into nothing. All I could focus on was her. Sarah, in that blue sweater I'd bought her last Christmas, looking at this guy like he hung the damn moon. My phone felt heavy in my pocket, and before I could stop myself, I yanked it out and dialed her number. I don't know what I expected, maybe for her to pick up, laugh it off, tell me I was seeing things. But as the call connected, I heard it. Her ringtone, some goofy pop song she'd set months ago, chirping loud and clear from inside the diner, just a few yards away. My blood ran cold. She didn't even flinch. I watched, heart slamming against my ribs, as she glanced at her phone on the table. My name, Jake, lit up the screen. She didn't hesitate. With one quick swipe, she silenced it, sent me straight to voicemail, and turned back to him, that laugh spilling out again like I didn't exist. My grip tightened on my phone until my knuckles went white. This wasn't some random lunch. This was deliberate. She'd lied to me, straight to my face, and now she was sitting there, brushing me off like I was some annoying telemarketer. I should have stormed in, demanded answers, made a scene. But my feet wouldn't move. It was like I was stuck in quicksand, watching my whole life unravel through that smudged diner window. Her eyes sparkled as she talked to him, the way they used to when we'd stay up late, dreaming about dumb stuff like road trips or fixing up the apartment. Now she was giving that look to someone else. Who the hell was he? Some coworker? A friend I'd never heard of? My mind raced, flipping through every excuse she'd fed me lately. Late nights at the office, girls' weekends, just need some space, Jake. How long had this been going on? I don't know how I got home. The drive was a blur, red lights, horns, my hands choking the steering wheel. By the time I stumbled through the door, I was a mess, adrenaline pumping, my thoughts spinning out of control. Sarah wasn't just drifting. She was hiding something, someone, and I'd been too blind to see it. But now I was wide awake, and I wasn't letting this go. Whatever she was playing at, I was going to find out. The apartment was dead quiet when I slammed the door shut, but it didn't feel like home anymore. It was like walking into a stranger's place, everything familiar but wrong, like a stage set for a play I didn't sign up for. My keys hit the counter with a clatter, and I stood there, chest heaving, trying to wrap my head around what I'd just seen. Sarah, my Sarah, laughing it up with some slick-haired nobody at Hank's Diner, blowing off my call like I was nothing. My mind was a tornado. Anger, confusion, this sick, hollow ache tearing me apart. I couldn't just sit there and stew. I had to know more, had to figure out how deep this rabbit hole went. I started with her stuff. She wasn't home, probably still sipping coffee with Smiley, plotting whatever the hell this was, so I had the place to myself. I tore through the living room first, flipping cushions, rifling through the stack of mail she always left by the TV. Nothing. Just bills, junk flyers, a coupon for that pizza joint we used to love. My hands were shaking as I moved to the bedroom, her side of the closet calling me like a siren. She'd always been weird about her space. Neat freak, everything in its place. But today, that was my advantage. If she was hiding something, it'd be here. I yanked open her dresser drawers, pawing through stacks of sweaters and jeans. Nothing out of the ordinary, just her usual stuff, folded like she was trying to win some damn organization award. But then I hit the jackpot. Tucked under a pile of scars was a thin black notebook, one I'd never seen before. My stomach flipped. Sarah wasn't big on journaling, said it was too much work, so what was this? I cracked it open, my breath catching as I skimmed the first page. Her handwriting, sharp and loopy, stared back at me. Met Ryan again last night. He gets me. Like, really gets me. Jake's so clueless, it's almost sad. Ryan. That name hit me like a punch to the gut. Who the hell was Ryan? The guy from the diner? My head spun as I flipped through more pages, each line slicing deeper. Jake's smothering me with all his stupid plans, vacations, fixing up the place. Ryan doesn't care about that crap. He just lets me be. Page after page, it was the same. Her spilling her guts about how trapped she felt, how I was holding her back, how this Ryan guy was her escape. My knees buckled, and I sank onto the bed, the notebook trembling in my hands. This wasn't a fling. This was a whole damn life she'd built behind my back. I kept reading, couldn't stop, like picking at a scab. One entry, dated a week ago, made my blood freeze. Told Jake I'm working late again. Ryan's taking me to that spot by the lake. Can't wait to get out of this cage. The lake. Our lake. We'd gone there on our first date. Sat by the water, talked about everything and nothing. Now she was taking him there, turning our spot into theirs. I wanted to scream, to rip the pages out, but I forced myself to keep going. Another line jumped out. Jake deserves to know, but he'd lose it. I'll tell him when I'm ready to walk away. Ready to walk away. She wasn't just cheating. She was planning her exit, biding her time while I played the idiot husband, thinking we were still in this together. My vision blurred, rage and hurt crashing over me like a wave. How long had she been lying? Months? Longer? Every late night, every girl's trip, every time she dodged me with that fake smile. It was all here, spelled out in black ink. I slammed the notebook shut, my breath ragged, and tossed it on the bed. I wasn't done digging. If she thought she could keep me in the dark, she was dead wrong. I was going to find every shred of this mess, and she was going to face it. I stood up, fists clenched, and headed for her desk in the corner. Time to tear her perfect little world apart. The bedroom felt like it was closing in on me as I stormed over to Sarah's desk, my pulse hammering in my ears. That notebook had already ripped my guts out, but I wasn't done, couldn't be done. Every word she'd written about Ryan, about me being some clueless chump, lit a fire under me. If she was burying secrets, I was going to dig them up, one by one, until there was nothing left to hide. Her desk sat there in the corner, all prim and proper, like it was mocking me with its neatness. She'd always been OCD about it. Pens lined up, papers stacked just so, but today, that was my in. If there was more to find, it'd be here. I yanked the top drawer open, rifling through a mess of receipts, sticky notes, and old birthday cards. Nothing jumped out at first, just the usual junk she hoarded. But then my fingers brushed something hard, tucked way in the back. I pulled it out, and my heart stopped. A phone. Not her usual one. This was a cheap, sleek little burner, the kind you'd see in a spy movie. Sarah didn't have two phones. Or at least, I'd never known about it. My hands shook as I powered it on, praying it wasn't locked. The screen flickered to life, and I punched in our anniversary date, 06-15, half expecting it to fail. It didn't. The irony hit me like a brick. She'd used our day to guard her lies. Messages flooded the screen, and I scrolled straight to the top. Ryan. His name was everywhere, lighting up the chat like a neon sign. I opened the thread, and it was like stepping into a nightmare. Hey babe, you free tonight? He'd written a week ago. Her reply. Told Jake I've got a late meeting. Pick me up at 7. My jaw clenched so hard it hurt. I kept scrolling, each text slicing deeper. Missed you last night. He sent a few days back. Jake's been hovering. Had to play nice. See you tomorrow, she shot back. Play nice. That's what she called it, faking her way through our life while she snuck off with him. The deeper I went, the worse it got. Photos popped up, selfies of them grinning by the lake, her hair windblown, his arms slung around her like he owned her. Then texts about hotel rooms, late-night drives, stuff so personal I felt sick reading it. One from last month stopped me cold. He's asking about the weekend again. Told him I'm visiting my sister. Can't wait to get away with you. Her sister. That was the excuse she'd fed me when she'd vanished for 2 days, barely texting, claiming bad signal. I'd bought it, worried about her like a damn fool, while she was shacked up with him. I gripped the phone tighter, my knuckles white, as I hit a message from 3 days ago. Jake's getting nosy. Think he suspects something? Ryan's reply. Let him figure it out. I'm done hiding. My breath hitched. They weren't even scared, just cocky, like I was some obstacle they'd laugh off when I finally caught on. The last text was from this morning. Lunch at Hank's today? Need to see you. Her answer. Hell yes. Told them I'm swamped at work. That was it. The moment I'd seen them, when she'd swiped my call away like it was nothing. I dropped the phone on the desk, my head spinning. This wasn't just cheating. This was a double life. Months, maybe years, of her smiling to my face while she built something else with him. Every memory we had, movie nights, lazy Sundays, that trip to the coast last summer, felt like a lie now, a script she'd acted out to keep me quiet. I wanted to smash something, scream, anything to let this rage out, but I couldn't. Not yet. I grabbed the notebook again, flipping back to her last entry. Ryan says we should just rip the Band-Aid off. I'm scared, but he's right. Jake's too blind to see it coming. Blind. That's what she thought. My hands balled into fists. She was wrong. I saw it now, every ugly piece of it. And I wasn't letting her walk away clean. Not after this. The air in the apartment felt thick, suffocating, as I stood there clutching that burner phone like it was a live grenade. Sarah's words from the notebook, Jake's too blind to see it coming, kept looping in my head, taunting me. Blind. Not anymore. I was wide awake now, and the more I found, the hotter this fire in my chest burned. She thought she could play me, sneak around with Ryan, and just waltz out when it suited her. No way. I wasn't about to let her rewrite our life like I was some side character she could ditch. If she wanted out, fine, but she was going to feel every damn ounce of what she'd done. I tossed the phone onto the bed next to the notebook and paced the room, my mind racing. That diner scene replayed over and over, her laughing, him smirking, my call dying on her screen. It wasn't enough to just know she'd been lying. I needed to see how far she'd taken this, how much of us she'd thrown away. I headed back to her closet, tearing through it like a man possessed. I shoved aside hangers of dresses and jackets, digging into corners she probably thought I'd never check. My hand hit something solid behind a stack of shoeboxes. A small locked box, metal, cold to the touch. My gut twisted. What now? I didn't have the key, but I wasn't stopping. I grabbed a screwdriver from the kitchen and pried the damn thing open, the lock popping with a sharp snap. Inside was a stack of stuff that made my blood run cold. A wad of cash, hundreds, maybe $1,000, some receipts, and a folded letter. I unfolded it, my hands trembling, and saw her handwriting again. Ryan, need to move fast. Jake's asking too many questions. Let's get the account sorted, then I'm gone. I'll tell him when it's done. Account? What account? My heart pounded as I scanned the receipts, hotel charges, dinner tabs, a plane ticket stub to Chicago dated 2 weeks ago. She'd said she was at a work conference. Another lie. I sank onto the floor, the letter crumpled in my fist. She wasn't just cheating, she was planning to bleed me dry and bolt. We had a joint savings account, years of scraping by, saving for a house, a future. Was that what she meant? I grabbed my phone, pulled up our bank app, and logged in, dread pooling in my stomach. The balance stared back at me, $12,347. Last I checked, it was over 20 grand. My breath caught. She'd already started siphoning it, little withdrawals here and there, disguised as groceries or bills. She'd been looting our life while I slept beside her. Rage boiled up, hot and sharp, but I forced myself to think straight. I snapped photos of everything, the letter, the receipts, the bank screen. Evidence. She wasn't getting away with this. I stormed back to the desk, rifling through drawers again, and found a crumpled post-it stuck under a notepad. Ryan's new hashtag, 555-0192. Call after 10. New number? That burner phone wasn't their only line. My fingers hovered over my phone. I could call him, confront him right now, hear his smug voice try to squirm out of this. But no, I'd save that card for later. Instead, I dialed her. She picked up on the third ring, her voice all breezy, like she hadn't just gutted me. Hey, Jake, what's up? I clenched my jaw, keeping my tone low, steady. Where are you, Sarah? A pause, then a little laugh. Still at work, babe. Crazy day. Lies, smooth as silk. Funny, I said, my voice tight. Because I've got your notebook here. Ryan says hi. Silence. Dead silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. Jake. What? Where'd you? I cut her off. Save it. I know everything. You're done. I hung up, my hands shaking, adrenaline surging. She'd be scrambling now, but I wasn't waiting for her excuses. This was war. My phone buzzed like a live wire on the bed, Sarah's name flashing across the screen. I didn't pick up, let her sweat it out. I just dropped the bomb, told her I knew about Ryan, the notebook, everything. She'd be freaking out now, probably racing to cover her tracks, but I was one step ahead. The apartment was a war zone. Her closet torn apart, that locked box busted open, receipts and cash scattered like shrapnel. I'd caught her red-handed, and the rage pumping through me felt good, like I was finally clawing back control. But I wasn't done. I grabbed the burner phone again, scrolling through her texts with Ryan, looking for anything else to nail her with. That's when it hit me, the twist I never saw coming. I stopped on a message from last week. Ryan, tell him it's set. He'll bite. Tell who? I frowned, digging deeper. Another text, 2 days ago. He's in. Meet at Hank's tomorrow. Bring the cash. My stomach lurched. This wasn't just about her and Ryan sneaking around. There was someone else in the mix. I kept scrolling, piecing it together, when a name popped up that made my blood freeze. Chris says we split it 3 ways once Jake's out. Chris. My best friend Chris. The guy I'd known since high school. The one who'd crashed on our couch a dozen times, who'd toasted us at our wedding. My knees buckled, and I gripped the desk to stay upright. This wasn't just Sarah and Ryan. Chris was in on it, whatever it was. My head spun as I flipped back to the notebook, scanning her last entry again. Ryan says rip the Band-Aid off. Jake's too blind. But now I saw it differently. It wasn't just about leaving me. It was about setting me up. I yanked open the bank app again, cross-checking dates. Those withdrawals? They lined up with nights Chris had been over, catching up, over beers while Sarah played the perfect wife. Then it clicked, the letter from the box. Let's get the account sorted, then I'm gone. They weren't just draining our savings. They were planning something bigger, and I was the mark. I stumbled to the kitchen, my breath ragged, and grabbed my laptop. I logged into our security camera account, the one Sarah didn't know I'd set up last year after a break-in scare. I pulled up footage from the past month, fast-forwarding through days of nothing, until I hit pay dirt. There, 2 weeks ago, was Chris in our living room, Sarah handing him an envelope while I was at work. They laughed, clinked beers, then she leaned in and kissed him. Not Ryan, Chris. My stomach churned. I rewound, watched again, and saw Ryan step into frame a minute later, all 3 of them grinning like they'd won the lottery. This wasn't a love triangle. It was a damn conspiracy. The pieces slammed together. Sarah wasn't just cheating with Ryan. She was playing both him and Chris, stringing them along for some kind of payout. The cash in the box, the drained account, the plane ticket. They were going to clean me out and disappear, leaving me holding the bag. But the real gut punch? Chris, my brother in arms, the guy I'd trusted with my life, had his hands all over this. I slammed the laptop shut, my vision blurring with fury and disbelief. I thought Sarah was the snake, but Chris? That cut deeper than anything. I grabbed my phone, hands trembling, and texted Chris, meet me at Hank's. Now. No explanation, no games. He replied fast, sure, bud. What's up? I didn't answer. Let him squirm. I stuffed the burner phone, the notebook, and the letter into a bag, my mind racing. Sarah thought I was blind, Chris thought I was dumb, and Ryan thought he'd won. They were wrong. I wasn't just fighting for answers anymore. I was fighting for my life. And they were about to find out how far I'd go. The streetlights blurred past as I floored it to Hank's Diner, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. The bag sat heavy on the passenger seat, Sarah's burner phone, her notebook, that damn letter. All the proof I needed to burn their little scheme to the ground. My phone buzzed again, Chris's name lighting up the screen. You there yet? I didn't reply. Let him sweat. He had no idea I'd seen the security footage. Him and Sarah locking lips, Ryan joining the party, the 3 of them laughing like I was the punchline. My best friend, my wife, and her side piece, all in it together, plotting to screw me over and split the cash. I wasn't just mad anymore. I was a lit fuse, ready to blow. I pulled into the diner's lot, tires screeching, and spotted Chris's beat-up pickup parked near the entrance. The place was quiet, just a few late-night stragglers sipping coffee inside. I grabbed the bag and stormed in, my boots thudding against the tile. Chris was slouched in a booth near the back, nursing a soda, looking all casual, like he hadn't just stabbed me in the back. He glanced up, flashed that easy grin I used to trust. "Hey, Jake, what's the emergency?" he said, voice light. I slid into the seat across from him, slamming the bag on the table. His grin faltered. "Cut the crap, Chris," I said, my voice low and sharp. "I know everything. You, Sarah, Ryan, nice little trio you've got going." His eyes widened, just a flicker, but he leaned back, playing it cool. "Whoa, man, what are you talking about?" I yanked the burner phone out of the bag and shoved it in his face, the screen glowing with texts. "This. You're splitting it 3 ways once I'm out of the picture. Sound familiar?" He froze, his jaw tightening, but he didn't deny it. I tossed the notebook down next, open to Sarah's scribbles. She wrote it all out. How you're in on it. How I'm the idiot who didn't see it coming. Chris rubbed his neck, eyes darting away, then back to me. "Jake, listen." "No, you listen," I snapped, cutting him off. "I saw the footage. You in my house, kissing my wife, laughing with Ryan while I'm at work. You think I'm that stupid?" His face went pale, the cocky act crumbling. "It wasn't like that," he stammered. "Sarah, she pulled me in, said it'd be easy money. I didn't mean, save it," I said, leaning in close. "You were my brother, man. Years, fights, beers, all of it. And you sell me out for her." He slumped, running a hand through his hair. "She's crazy, Jake. You don't get it. She's got Ryan wrapped around her finger, too. She's the one calling the shots, said we'd take the savings, pin it on you, make it look like you blew it all. I was just what?" I barked. "Just happy to screw me over?" He didn't answer, just stared at the table, guilt written all over him. I pulled out the letter, slid it across. "Here's her plan. Move fast, drain the account, leave me holding the bag. You signed up for this." Chris swallowed hard, finally meeting my eyes. "I'm out, okay? She's turning on us anyway. Told me this morning she's cutting me loose, keeping it all with Ryan." My gut twisted. Sarah wasn't just playing me, she was double-crossing them, too. "Where is she now?" I demanded. He hesitated, then muttered, "Hotel on 12th. With him." I stood, grabbing the bag. "You're done, Chris. When this hits, you're not walking away clean." I turned to leave, but his voice stopped me. "Jake, she's got more planned. Something big. Watch your back." I didn't look back, just stormed out, my mind racing. Sarah wasn't just a liar. She was a damn viper, shedding allies like skin. I had to find her, end this, before whatever she had brewing swallowed me whole. The hotel on 12th Street loomed ahead, its neon sign buzzing in the dark like a bad omen. I gripped the steering wheel, the bag of evidence, burner phone, notebook, letter, riding shotgun. Chris's warning echoed in my head. She's got more planned. Something big. My gut churned. Sarah wasn't just a cheat or a thief. She was a damn mastermind, playing me, Chris, Ryan, everyone, like pieces on her chessboard. I'd thought catching her would be the end, but now I wasn't so sure. I parked across the street, scanning the lot. Her car was there, sleek and silver, parked next to Ryan's black sedan. They were inside, probably plotting their next move, or celebrating how they'd screwed us all. I didn't have a plan, just a fire in my chest, and a need to see this through. I grabbed the bag and crossed the street, my boots crunching on gravel. The lobby was dim, some bored clerk scrolling his phone behind the desk. I slipped past, heading for the elevators, my mind racing. Room 312. Chris had coughed that up before I'd left him at Hank's, a last-ditch plea to save his skin. I hit the 3rd floor, the hum of the elevator doing nothing to calm the storm in me. The hall was quiet, too quiet, and when I reached their door, I stopped, listening. Muffled voices, hers sharp, his low, seeped through the wood. I didn't knock. I twisted the handle, unlocked, sloppy, and shoved it open. Sarah froze mid-sentence, standing by the bed, a suitcase half-packed. Ryan was sprawled in a chair, a beer in hand, his smirk fading fast when he saw me. "Jake!" Sarah's voice cracked, her eyes wide, but she recovered quick, crossing her arms. "What the hell are you doing here?" I stepped in, slamming the door behind me, and tossed the bag on the floor. Found your little stash, Sarah? The phone, the cash, your plans with Ryan and Chris. Nice team you built. Ryan shot up, fists clenched, but Sarah waved him off, her glare icy. You're pathetic, Jake. Digging through my stuff? Get out. I laughed, bitter and hard. Pathetic? You drained our savings, kissed my best friend, and now you're what? Running off with this clown. I nodded at Ryan, who bristled but stayed put. Chris sold you out, by the way. Said you're cutting him loose, keeping it all. Her jaw tightened, a flicker of panic crossing her face. He's lying, she snapped, but her voice wavered. I pulled the letter from the bag, holding it up. This says different. Move fast, get the account sorted. You were gonna frame me, weren't you? Make it look like I lost it all. Ryan shifted, uneasy, and I saw it, the crack in their armor. Tell him, I said, locking eyes with him. Tell me I'm wrong. He didn't. Sarah stepped forward, her tone softening. Fake as hell. Jake, let's talk, okay? No lawyers, no mess. We can figure this out. I shook my head. Too late. I've got everything. Texts, footage, your own words. You're done. She lunged for the bag, but I yanked it back, staring her down. Try it, I dared. Ryan grabbed her arm, muttering. Let's go, Sarah. Now. She glared at me, defiant to the end, then grabbed the suitcase. You'll regret this, Jake, she hissed, brushing past me. Ryan followed, silent, his bravado gone. The door clicked shut, and the room went still. I stood there, breathing hard, the weight of it crashing down. They were gone, for now. I'd blown their plan wide open, but Chris's warning gnawed at me. Something big. Had I stopped it, or just delayed it? I sank onto the bed, staring at the bag. The evidence was mine. The divorce was coming, but the house felt empty ahead, and questions lingered. What else had she hidden? What was next? I'd won this round, but the game wasn't over. Not yet.